a lot of the times that he makes mistakes are in crucial moments of games. Like he's thrown fourth quarter interceptions all season.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just like, wow, this isn't really going all that well. He doesn't really look like himself. He's lost so many receivers. And then you start to think, okay, can he just put it together? The offensive line was not good for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And the offensive line, whatever issue they have, has to be addressed. But I didn't think that they had, they've got DeAndre Hopkins. They've got Juju. They've got, plenty of they've got Worthy. They've got plenty of offensive weapons without even getting into Kelsey, and the running backs were all healthy. I just thought, man, can't you do something else? And to me, it was Andy Reid got outcoached horribly, in my opinion. But secondly, Mahomes just wasn't in it. He missed linebackers cutting under or safeties, wide right in the middle of the play, and just like the interceptions were egregious. Just overall, it just didn't look like the player that we've become accustomed to, and it really made for one of the worst Super Bowls to sit through that I've ever been around to watch.
Yeah, it was akin to that Seahawks Broncos Super Bowl where early second quarter, you just go, oh, this game's over.
Yeah.
We're done here.
Yeah, what do we do now?
Yeah, so that was so I said all week when people go, who are you rooting for? Because for 49ers fans, the Eagles have become this like little, I don't want to call them a rival, but it's like this mini rivalry because the Niners and Eagles for the last few years have both been kind of jockeying for top seed in the NFC or top spot in the NFC. They had the Eagles put a beat down on them in the NFC title game, and then the Niners come back the next year and put a beat down on them in Philly. And so I wasn't like, I don't like Nick Sirianni. I don't like the whole Big Dom thing. It's like, I can't root for the Eagles, but then obviously the Chiefs, they beat the Niners in the Super Bowl twice. They beat the Niners every time they played them in the last decade or whatever it is. I don't want to really root for the Chiefs. My body will tell me what I want on game day. And I decided as the game was going on, I just wanted as when the Eagles went up 17-0, I was like, okay, I'm going to pull for the Chiefs to make this interesting. But then watching the wheels just come off the Chiefs, there was something satisfying to it. Because how many Chiefs games have we watched since 2018 where you expect like, oh, okay, this is the game where their mistakes are going to come back to bite them. This is the one. And then other team fumbles, bad call goes the Chiefs' way, big play by Travis Kelce. All of a sudden the Chiefs have won. And you're like, wait, they got outplayed.
They got dominated, man.
And then last night, that's the word. That was just a dominant performance by the Eagles. And I think sometimes I personally, I don't want to say we, but I know I personally, I think I get caught up in storylines and I get caught up in the Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs of it all. They've figured out a way. They've won 17 consecutive one-score games. I think this is going to be a close game. I think Philly's defense is going to keep them in it, but I think the Chiefs defense is going to keep them in it as well. It's going to be a close game, and in a close game, the Chiefs are going to figure out a way to win it. When really what happened was, and the Eagles are just awesome.
Yeah,
they're just the best team in the sport.
They were. The one thing that I'm over is the whole officiating thing, right?
Oh, RIP.
And
put it in the ground.
Even in the beginning of the game, there was a bad call. The A.J. Brown catch on the sideline where they called offensive pass interference. That was suspect, man. It was super soft. In a game of that magnitude, you don't call that. Right?
Letter of the law, it's probably a foul, but I'm with you.
Yeah.
That's a tough call.
And so I'm sitting there like, is this what we're going to hear? Are we going to hear this? But then it was like 10-0. You're like, okay, well, the Eagles are still hanging tough. And the Chiefs just never built any momentum at all. They couldn't get anything going. And then the sack parade started happening. And you're like, okay, this game looks like it could be over.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes got happy feet, dude.
Yeah.
He and that's just that no quarterback is immune to that. You get hit a few times, there's pressure early. You see him get into his spot in the pocket, and it's not stepping up and throwing around and creating a running lane for himself to extend the play. It was, I got to go backwards. And when you start getting to your spot, and instead of hitching up and navigating the pocket, and you start going backwards, you're cooked. You're done. I don't care if you're Patrick Mahomes, Joe Montana, Tom Brady, or otherwise. That's not a way that's conducive to playing quality football. And you saw it with the Chiefs yesterday, man.
Yeah.
They just weren't good enough. They didn't have any answers. And the Eagles played outstanding on both sides of the ball.
I think a lot of it was just straight up they got outcoached. Like one play where Mahomes escapes out and then he kind of stumbles, the guy grabs him his leg, he kind of stumbles, and then his offensive lineman just grabs him and holds on to him. It's like, hey, bro, I'm Patrick Mahomes. Get off me. What are you doing? I can't do anything because you're holding on to me. But they back out. They show the whole play. You got the center or the left guard, one of the two. They just get in a stance and they're sitting there looking all around. Mm-hmm. There's no one anywhere near them.
Yeah.
All the world, dog. The world is crushing around Mahomes and all these guys are standing around and you're like, what are they doing? And that's when you realize, oh, they just got out-schemed. They got fully out-schemed.
Yeah, I think it was there was some of that. And then like, Jalen Carter might just be the best defensive tackle in the sport right now.
Yeah.
Josh Sweat was awesome yesterday. They didn't have anybody who could block him. Nolan Smith was awesome yesterday. Didn't have anybody who could block him. The entire Eagles defensive line, here's some stats. And I know this got said a lot, but in case you missed it. The Eagles, and this goes to the scheme thing you were talking about. The Eagles pressured Mahomes on more than half of his dropbacks, and they blitzed 0 times. They sent an extra pass rusher 0 times. And that's the thing. Like that no matter what version of football we're playing, whether it's the 1950s, the 1980s, or now, if you can get pressure with 4 and drop 7 in coverage, you're going to have a really good day defensively.
Yep.
And the Eagles did that to perfection. Everything they were doing. The whole Sam Darnold seeing ghosts thing, Patrick Mahomes was seeing ghosts yesterday, man. Straight up.
No, I agree with you.
That's what happened.
And the difference between them and Minnesota is that Minnesota, like, they're blitz happy the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you call the blitz the right way, if you predict what they're going to do,
mm-hmm.
it's game on. You can crush them on
mm-hmm.
on a blitz, right?
Yep.
And what I saw yesterday was it felt like every single play, the Eagles knew exactly what was coming.
Yep.
The play late in the game where it was 4th down and 4th and 5, and they had the little out route.
Mm-hmm.
The defensive back just jumped the route. He knew exactly what the play was. Like the whole time, you're like, how do you know their playbook so in and out that this is what we're getting in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah, really strange, especially for a team that's usually so incredibly creative. I thought the Chiefs were on their heels the entire game and had no idea what to do.
On their heels is the perfect way to describe it. They're going backwards the entire game. Mm-hmm. Some more stats. The Eagles had more points at halftime than the Chiefs had yards, 24-23. I mentioned the Eagles pressuring Mahomes on more than half of his dropbacks, despite blitzing 0 times. All 6 times a team has blitzed 0 times in a Super Bowl, they've won, which is not a huge surprise because, again, getting home with 4 is a good way to play defense. And then it was the first game all year that a team didn't run a single play in opponent's territory in their first 9 drives.
Wow.
The Chiefs did not cross midfield until their 10th drive. It's the first time that happened all year.
That's absolutely crazy.
I always say, like with the college football playoff, people complained because, you're not getting the best. We're not going to get the best team. It's just going to be whoever the best team in the playoff was. It's like, yeah, that's the point of the playoffs, right? Like, that's why you have playoffs, to settle it on the field. This wasn't just the Eagles got hot for the playoffs and then the Chiefs played a bad game. The Eagles were just the best team. And I said it earlier this year. It wouldn't shock me at all if they just went in and beat the Lions. I thought they'd beat the Lions in the NFC title game, and they beat the Lions to go to the Super Bowl. But I didn't think that they would go be as dominant as they were. You drop a 50 burger in the NFC title game, and then you drop 40 in the Super Bowl to throttle a team going for a three-peat.
Yeah, it's wild, especially when you consider last season they were so good. They were 10-0 to start the season, whatever. And then the Niners just like knocked them off kilter, and then they were done.
Yeah,
like just toast. Completely toast. And then you see them recover, and like I think they figured out a lot about like the mental fortitude that it takes to win, to get there and to win, and to see them grow up is kind of interesting to watch, because I did not think that they were a great team until late in the season. They were a really good team, But there were some teams that were great this year, especially like
Yep.
the Lions. The Lions were great, and you were expecting them to, keep going and represent.
Right.
But this is a team that ended up being the team that figured out how to be great, like midway, and then like, hey, we got it. We're clicking now. We know what it takes, and there they are.
Team with the best roster started playing their best football.
Yeah.
And that's how you create a buzzsaw. The thing I learned from the Super Bowl, the big takeaway for me, was as much as we talk quarterbacks, as much as we talk receivers, as much as we talk cornerbacks and all this stuff, the trenches matter more than anything in football, and they always will.
Yep.
There's no version of football where you can have a bad offensive line and go win a game or go win a Super Bowl.
I need you to tell Kyle Shanahan that.
Working on it.
Yeah, because I mean, again, you lost an NFC Championship game straight up to this Eagles team because you couldn't protect your quarterback.
Yeah.
And his arm got trashed.
And your two Super Bowl losses to the Chiefs both came down to you couldn't block Chris Jones.
Yeah.
That was a problem.
Yeah, you go cheap up front, especially in the middle, and they did it on both sides of the ball this year, which is why they didn't win.
Yes. It was a major factor. Injuries, special teams, all that. But when you're going to struggle in the trenches, you're going to struggle to have a good football team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Niners know they need to revamp their defensive line. My question is whether they look at this and go, man, because the Chiefs have put a patchwork offensive line together as well.
Mm-hmm.
They got to figure out left tackle. They drafted Kingsley Suamataia in the second round. He couldn't play. They had to move Joe Thuney, who's a really good guard. They had to move him to tackle. And they had to start an undrafted rookie at guard. Like they've been piecing it together too, man. And he got smoked.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that your playmakers, there's nothing that your quarterback is going to do if you cannot keep them upright. And there's no overcome. Patrick Mahomes couldn't overcome it. Tom Brady couldn't overcome it. It is a truth of football that will never change.
No, I agree 100%. And that's why you have to aggressively attack those weaknesses this offseason if you're the San Francisco 49ers.
Yep.
That's it.
That's what the entire offseason comes down to. Last thing, you mentioned the ref conspiracy earlier.
Mm-hmm.
RIP, man.
Yeah. It's dead.
They got him all the way there, but then couldn't. And I tweeted this. I said it's crazy that the refs worked so hard to get the Chiefs here and then bailed on him. And people are like, well, they were just getting beat so bad. The refs gonna no, they could have though. On any of those sacks, there could have been a roughing the passer. There could have been a phantom PI call, a little phantom defensive hold. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes got punched in the face and nothing.
Yeah,
like dude, it's almost like there's not this league-wide conspiracy to make the Chiefs win. Almost. Maybe it's weird. I also have never seen the country more united than people were against the new Fox scorebook. The game started, and my entire Twitter feed just blew up with people like the scorebug sucks. I hate this scorebug. Why did they do this for the Super Bowl? What is this? Minimalism sucks. The scorebug it takes up too much of the screen. Everyone hated it. I didn't see one person zag. It was like the Luka trade. I didn't see not one person said about the Luka trade like, hey, you know what? I actually kind of like this deal for Dallas. Like low key, I like this for Dallas. Not one person. And I didn't see one person yesterday like, hey, love the new scorebug. The entire country united against it. It was great. You got to move the play clock below the game clock.
Mm-hmm.
That's key. And then you got to make it smaller. That took up way too much of the screen for me.
It was weird.
I didn't like it. It was a thumbs down for me. Not the overall design, just they need to make a couple of tweaks. Anyways, that's my game production take of the day. We'll continue to discussing the Super Bowl, but we got to get into this Kings 123-118 victory over the New Orleans Pelicans on Saturday. It looked pretty good. And we'll look ahead to tonight's game against those Dallas Mavericks that I just mentioned. He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're the Insiders, and we are sponsored by Jiffy Lube. This is ESPN 1320, and it is Sacramento Sports Leader. Hey, what's up? It's your boy Kyle Madsen from the Insiders. In this basketball season, when your favorite stars score a bucket, we're alley-ooping you an opportunity to win money from watching sports with Underdog. That's a long way to go to make a basketball pun, but I respect what they're doing here. You already know that Underdog Daily Fantasy, their pick'em game is super easy. You pick 2 or more players. You pick higher or lower on one of their stats, like points, assists, rebounds, etc. They've got so many. You can go first quarter, first 5 minutes. I have a ton of fun doing basketball games on Underdog, and I think you will too. And you don't just have to do basketball now that football season's over. You can mix and match basketball. We got baseball season coming up. There's hockey. They got any sport you can think of. They've got it for you with their pick'em game, and you can play with as little as $1. And if you get everything right, you can win up to 1,000 times your entry. So turn $1 into $1,000 just with your hoops knowledge, just by knowing ball. I have to read this part verbatim. I've got a lineup coming up later. I've got a Kings-related lineup coming up for you later. Download the Underdog app and sign up now using promo code KyleM to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun when you sign up with promo code KyleM. Claim your special offer today and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly upon first deposit. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. My goodness.
Luka Doncic has decided his foundation is donating $500 to immediate recovery efforts in the LA area.
Well, that's awesome.
I want to read this first paragraph here. It's been so sad to see and learn about the damage from wildfires since I landed in LA. I can't believe it, and I feel for all the kids who lost their homes, schools, and places where they used to play with their friends. Today, my foundation is donating $500,000, immediate recovery efforts, blah, blah, blah. It feels like a little Derek Zoolander-esque, that first paragraph. I think he's going to build a school for children who can't read good. Most points per possession in transition in the 2024-25 regular season. Minimum 80 total transition possessions. Keon Ellis is number 1, according to Stat Defender.
What's wrong with this Luka thing?
It just feels like a little Zoolander-esque, like the first paragraph. That's all.
Huh.
Like when he's building a center for kids that can't read good. I don't know. It's good. It's good that he's donating $500,000.
Nico Harrison doesn't make it through the offseason, right?
I don't know. You let him do something crazy. Yeah, that's just crazy. The whole part that Mark Cuban had no idea that was happening. And I know that Mark Cuban isn't the managing partner anymore, but he was supposed to have some say.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, he has no say.
Just nothing.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder if anyone does, or if this was just made on their own. Like they didn't feel like they had someone they had to go to. I don't know.
Yikes, dude. Oh.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
James is over there. I'm Kyle. put a pin in the Super Bowl stuff for a moment to talk about your Sacramento Kings, who beat the New Orleans Pelicans 123-118. I was back on Saturday. I got to tell you, man, how far this team goes and what their ceiling is, I got to see more. I got to see what they look like when they get a chance to get a couple of practices in, and then we can really kind of reassess where they're at. But the thing that has stuck out to me, even as they lost the first couple games of the Zach LaVine era, the Jonas Valanciunas edition stuck out as like a stark, like, oh, this is helpful. They're at least a little bit better because Jonas Valanciunas is on the team and playing.
Yeah, I think we probably underestimated just how much you needed a backup center.
Yeah, because we've just gone, oh, you just play Trey Lyles and then Alex Len gives you a couple minutes. But having a backup center who can play a close enough facsimile to what Domantas Sabonis is doing is really helpful. And then add in Jake LaRavia, who came in and did almost exactly what I thought he would do. And you said it today. Like, you looked at the box score and you go, oh, what, 7 points? Oh, he had 3 rebounds. Okay, no, he's good. But just the impact he makes on the court makes him seem a lot more productive than that.
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge human being. And like, I know that Alex Len is really tall as well, but not like Jonas. I mean, actually, Alex is taller, but Jonas is just like a gigantic human being.
Girthy.
Yeah, and like, he just takes up so much space, and like, you can do so many different things. And what we're seeing is that it's not that he blocks a lot of shots. I mean, he blocks. I think he had a couple of blocks in the last game, but it's that people don't want to go anywhere near the key when he's there. You've seen it already. I mean, he's leveled like 3 or 4 players in his first couple of games with the Kings. And when you're a Kings fan and you're going up against Valanciunas, you're like, oh no, I hate that guy, because he does things on the court that are super, super physical, and even at some point aggressive. And so as an opposing team, you're like, no, I don't like that guy. But then when he's on your team, you're like, oh, hell yeah. Did you see that guy bounce off him?
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
They
have a legit 9-man rotation now that doesn't include Devin Carter, and it doesn't include Doug McDermott or Alex Len. And this is just, again, whether the Kings are going to be a playoff team or a play-in team or a bottom 5, not a top 10 seed, I have no idea. I need to see more. The first couple of games didn't make me super optimistic, but you needed to get a win against the Pelicans, and they did. And one of my biggest complaints all year was you're 6-ish players deep.
Yeah, sometimes 7, and that's if Trey Lyles is playing well.
Yeah, so now they legit have 9 guys that when they're playing, you feel, okay, I feel pretty good about that. There's still some flaws on the roster for sure. They got to figure out that backup point guard situation. You can always use more size and athleticism for sure. But with Jake LaRavia, with Jonas Valanciunas, they have multiple players. With Keon Ellis and Trey Lyles, they have 4 players now. Then when they check in, my immediate thought isn't, like disaster time. And that's a big deal.
I think part of it to me is that Trey Lyles now can be your 8th or 9th best player, as opposed to having to be your 6th or 7th best player. And so Trey, for whatever reason, is not super consistent. He's not consistent as a scorer. Some nights he's a great rebounder, some nights he's not. Like, you're waiting, again, sometimes he hits the 3, sometimes he doesn't. But all of a sudden, when he is one of 4 guys and not like basically one of 2 guys coming off the bench that can actually do anything, it just looks different. And having Jonas standing in the middle of the key means that all of a sudden Trey doesn't have to take on the most difficult big man that you're going to go up against for the night. If Sabonis gets in foul trouble, you're now not going to have to worry that the game is basically over, because you've got Jonas up against Jokic. Or Jonas up against, name that gigantic center.
Sure.
That he's just going to get shot. They're going to shoot right over the top of him. So at this point, like, it just feels like the 2 players that they're adding to that second unit just fit and help everyone else be better. And you're left with this wonder, like, why didn't you do this before? Because
yes,
it wasn't like going out and getting a John Collins. It wasn't going and getting a Cam Johnson. It was literally, it feels like two smaller things that are changing the complexity of your team. And their answer might be, well, straight up, like, well, we didn't have that $8 million to go get Jonas before.
sure.
And okay, I get that, but you probably should have done your work earlier. They cleared up a lot of space when they traded Kevin Huerter. But at the same time, like everything feels and looks better on the court when that second unit is out there. And they outscored their opponent for one of the few times I can remember this season.
It's so big time.
The second unit, yeah.
The other couple of things that jumped out on Saturday. I would love to see this more often from Domantas Sabonis. Led the team with 18 shots, led the team with 27 points. Not that he's going to take 18 shots a night, not that he's going to score 27 a night, but that the ball is going through him more often. Malik Monk needs to have the ball in his hands. Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan need to have the ball in their hands. I understand that. But your most effective playmaker is your center. Your best playmaker is your center. And I think he only had like 3 assists. But if he's going to score 27 points on 18 shots, I don't mind that he only has 3 assists. But there's going to be nights where there's a really good defensive center, and you know what? He's going to stand there at the top of the key, and he's going to pick an offense or pick a defense apart with his passing. He's going to have 8, 9, 10 assists. Like that's one of the adjustments I would like to see Sacramento make is get the ball more often to Domas. Let the ball run through him while you're figuring out what you're doing with your 3 guys who need to have the ball in their hands at all times.
No, I totally get that. And to be honest with you, I think the game changed in the early third quarter when they got into the pick and roll action with Malik Monk and Domantas Sabonis. Up until that moment, they hadn't done it all that much. And the last couple of games, they have not been going to that. And I just don't get it. It's one of the most impactful, effective plays in the NBA is Monk to Sabonis on the pick and roll. And they desperately need to run that as much as possible while everything else is figuring itself out. Because I think that's the problem, is that you have a bunch of new pieces that like the ball in their hands. And that's fine, but that's not Kings basketball. Like everyone needs to learn how to play Kings basketball. You don't need to necessarily learn how to integrate LaVine or integrate, DeMar DeRozan into what you're doing. They have to learn how to play the game that you're supposed to be playing.
Yeah.
And so far this season, we haven't seen a lot of that. And then with the change with, LaVine coming in and Fox going out, like LaVine's going to take some time to figure it all out. I need less like standing there looking at your opponent and then pulling up for 27 footers. I need less of that. Everything needs to look like Kings basketball. It needs to flow, and it needs to have like a basic plan. And right now these guys they're slowly starting to integrate themselves in, but it's why you get such a clunky first half where the Kings go down by 20 and just look bad. And again, like DeMar DeRozan took 1 shot in the first half. Malik Monk, I think, was 0 for 4. You had those guys go 0 for 5 in the first half and have 1 combined point. The fact that you were able to recover and win that game is crazy when 2 of your top scorers are just non-existent completely in the first half.
Yeah. Couple other things. Keon Ellis had more minutes than DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, he was really good defensively. And then I think he ended up with like 13 points. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of...
It's interesting to me.
There's a lot of fans calling for him to start like you are, Kyle. And I get it. I just, I don't...
If he's going to just if he's going to play 32 minutes a night, cool. That's the bigger deal. You can't be going, 24 minutes because we can't start him. Like, okay, then shorten the rotation for the starters and bring him in quicker. I don't know. But that game flipped when the second unit came in.
Oh, totally.
And that is not have we said that at all at any point in the last 3 years?
No, I don't. I don't feel like
it. Kings bench turned that game around.
Well, once Malik,
it happens
went to the bench, went to the starting lineup. No, we haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But again, I think it plays more into a larger discussion about just how everyone is fitting into a natural position now. You're able to pull Malik Monk in the first 6 minutes of a game and then bring him back with the second unit and have him run that second unit to perfection.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. you know, and I think they're just getting started with chemistry and everything else, you know, learning how to play with Valanciunas, learning, you know, what's the right way to play for Jake LaRavia. Like, I think that they're just now like starting to like see what potential they have. And then the idea here is you have to survive the next 3 games, get to the All-Star break. And then once you get to the All-Star break, you have a couple of days to get some play sets, get some basics in. But until then, just go out there and play hard. And if you give energy and effort, you'll be just fine. And people will love you. And people will cheer for you. I mean, fans were booing in the first half loudly.
As they should. It was terrible.
It was terrible.
Ugh.
Yeah, and then they cheered.
As they should. It was great.
And you know why they cheered?
Why'd they do that?
Because Jake LaRavia came in and was just like, oh my gosh, this dude can ball. Like the first play, he goes out, he defends somebody, steals the ball, goes down and lays it up, and all of a sudden there is energy in the building. You're like, wow, look at that.
He played 12 minutes. He was a +9. He took 4 shots, made 3 of them. 7 points, 2 boards, 2 assists, a steal, 2 blocks. Come on, man.
He's fun. He's fun.
Just a good player. Just a quality bench guy.
I talked to him in the locker room too, and he just, you know, he doesn't have social media. He said, you know, things didn't exactly go great in Memphis. He wasn't embraced all that well, and then instantly he walks in the building and gets like almost a standing ovation. People were so excited for him. He became a fan favorite in the first minute on the court. He had the bank 3. You know, he had the steal. He had a couple of hustle plays. He had 1 rebound where I was like, oh, there's no way he's getting that. And he was all the way inside defending someone, then had to chase a ball down. Like, hey, look at him hustle. Like, it matters. It matters.
The Kings don't, hang on. I want to continue talking about Jake LaRavia, but I want to make sure we're giving stuff away right now. We're going to give you a $50 Jiffy Lube gift certificate and an exclusive Insiders hoodie that you can only get via this giveaway. It's the one James is wearing today. Hey, we're wearing the right hoodie. Come on. Yeah, that's the new exclusive Insiders hoodie provided by our friends at Jiffy Lube. Super nice hoodies that you can only get in this contest or if you work here, but it's easier to win this contest than to work here, I would imagine. So go to ESPN1320.com, find the Jiffy Lube contest page. It's front and center. You can't miss it. You're going to go to that contest page, and to enter to win a $50 Jiffy Lube gift certificate and an exclusive Insiders hoodie, you're going to enter the keyword depth, as in the Kings have more depth now. DEPTH. That is your Jiffy Lube keyword of the game. You'll enter to win a $50 Jiffy Lube gift certificate and an Insiders hoodie, an exclusive Insiders hoodie, courtesy of our friends at Jiffy Lube. Depth. All right. We're talking about Jake LaRavia and hustle plays. The Kings don't need, like, you always want to have good players. And I know we've said this a million times, but now that we have a on-court evidence, I want to bring it back to the front of everyone's mind. Having good players is obviously like the best way to win a championship. But there's a hierarchy on an NBA roster where at some point you don't need another guy who can put the ball in the hoop and that's all he does. You need players like Jake LaRavia and like Keon Ellis and like Jonas Valanciunas and like Trey Lyles that are just going to do the small things on the margins. You need a guy like Jonas Valanciunas who's going to come in 13 minutes, 14 minutes, 6 points, 5 boards, play some good defense, and that's what he's going to do. Jake LaRavia is going to come in. He's going to play 12 minutes. He's going to get you 7 points. He's going to have a couple of hustle plays. He's going to generate a couple extra possessions for you. That's winning basketball. Trey Lyles is going to do the same thing. He's going to take a charge. He's going to hit a 3. He's going to help you play winning basketball. That's what, and then we already know what Keon does. That's what the Kings have needed. Their top end talent to me has not been the problem. It's all of this. It's everything we've been talking about this entire game. They didn't have hardly anyone that effectively impacted games in those small areas that affect winning.
Yeah.
And again, this is not to say that they're going to win out. I don't even know if they'll make the playoffs. I have no idea what this team is. But the overall construction on paper is so much better than it was at really any point in the last 3 seasons for me.
No, I get it. Like, and it's not like Jake LaRavia is going out there and defending and shutting down Zion Williamson,
No.
right? It's not like he's going out there and grabbing like 14 rebounds and he didn't hit
Right.
like 6 threes in a game. But there is such a value into having glue guys who go out and multi-tool players that can actually just hold their own and do the job.
Yep.
And it's something that good basketball teams typically have.
Yep.
And you have to have all different sizes of these guys. You've got to have your Keon Ellis version. You've got to have your Jake LaRavia version. And now you realize you really needed the Jonas Valanciunas version.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think one of the things with Jonas that I'm looking at is a player who's used to playing 30 plus minutes a night, who even for Washington was playing 22 minutes. He gets it that there's going to be very little opportunity for him to play more than like 12 to 15 minutes a night. And the minutes he will get are going to come when Domantas Sabonis is off the floor. And so he knows that his guy is really good.
Yep.
That Sabonis is going to play a ton. So in the 6 or 8 minutes that he's coming in, he's flying. He's running everywhere. He's trying to give as much as he has. He's leaving it all out there on the court because he knows, like, hey, like, I'm not going to be out here for 18, 20, 30 minutes. I'm not going to be. And so for right now, I think that's the best way to do it. Go out there, use all your energy, show the fans what you've got. And I again, talk about a fan favorite. And it's not that Alex was bad, although he has not had a good season this year, or that some of the other players that the Kings have brought in are just bad players. It's just they didn't fit what you needed. And all of a sudden, when Domas picks up his 5th foul, everyone in the building is like, well, this game's over. You don't feel that way anymore.
Nope.
It's a very, very nice luxury to have.
Yep. Again, don't know what this means for the Kings and their playoff chances, but I like the direction of this current roster more than I did pre-trade deadline. So whether the front office sticks around will probably have more to do with postseason success than anything. And we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. We got to talk about Keegan Murray. Keegan Murray had himself a night. Looks like he's rounding into form a little bit. We'll talk about that. We'll have more Super Bowl stuff coming up for you. And we'll take a look ahead to the Kings game tonight against the Dallas Mavericks. All that coming up over the next... we changed our break schedule. That's right. And then, I don't know. Let's go to break so I can stop talking. Goodness.
No, that's not going to happen. I mean, I guess Sabonis and Valanciunas could play together against like Minnesota, maybe. I don't know. Stuff.
I'm gonna go mics off for a second.
Yep.
Discussing a production thing, not. All right. We've never been more back. Oh.
Man.
I went bowling on Saturday. I haven't been bowling in forever.
My sons go bowling on occasion.
If this happens, in fact, you know what? This makes me so angry. I'm going to talk about it on the radio.
What's going on, everybody? A lot of people are super concerned about the Laravia contract thing. Just let it work itself out. Like, I'm not panicking like a lot of people. Like, you have to have a realistic view of your players, and Jake Laravia has a lot of work to do before he's more than a $5 million a year player. And I'll also just point you directly to the Harry Giles situation, because it's the same exact situation where everyone thought Harry Giles was, he wasn't going to be able to, like, the Kings wouldn't be able to retain him and $4 million, all that stuff. He ended up getting a league minimum deal afterwards. The code isn't working.
Yeah, I know.
Is that my fault?
Nope. Did you tell him?
Mm-hmm. Did you tell them as well?
Nope.
Well, I did tell them.
Working on it, folks. I got it. I have messaged the people responsible for that.
What's up, Jay?
Good player.
Jay, I hope your little dude is recovered after the Deer and Fox trade. Tough one.
This is very good. It's a good joke. Well, neither are you, so.
It's funny. The new break schedule, so you're getting used to it.
I was going to say coming up in the second hour, and it's like, nope, first hour's not over yet.
Yep, it's not over.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
James Ham's there. I'm Kyle Madsen. Kings are back in action tonight down in Dallas. Apparently, they're just going to be on the road for the rest of the year.
That's what it feels like.
4 games. On the road for a bunch of games, home for one. On the road for a couple games, home for one.
Yeah, it's weird. 4 home games in the month of February.
Huh.
Really strange. I don't mind, to be honest.
Very odd. Very, very odd. The Kings win tonight. They secure the season series against the Dallas Mavericks.
That would be substantial.
That any time you can get a season series to secure a tiebreaker in the West right now, especially in the area of the standings the Kings are, you need it. The Kings since January 22nd. Here's some bad news.
Oh.
So they kicked the hell out of the Warriors on January 22nd. Is that the closer one? Anyways, doesn't matter. They beat the Warriors.
117.
Okay, that was the closer one. They beat the Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
Lost 2, won 1, lost 2, won 1, lost 2. They just won their last one.
Yeah, that's a trend.
Not a trend you want to keep rolling.
No.
But that's what they've been doing lately. The good news is they're playing a Mavs team tonight that just traded Luka Doncic. Anthony Davis made his debut against the Rockets, and it was they got the full AD in their very first game with him. First play of the game, he blocks Şengün, secures the ball, leads the break, long lead out pass for a dunk. And then he finished the game with 26, 16, and 7 with 3 blocks in a 116-105 win.
Yeah, he can stuff the stat sheet.
The problem is he got hurt in that game. It's an adductor strain. He's out at least a month. And man, that's tough.
Yeah.
You feel for the Mavs, man.
Well, I mean, you traded for a guy who has a long list of injuries. Like this guy has had injury after injury after injury. And, like someone told me that like 1 year when he was playing for New Orleans, like he missed like 23 games on the season or something like that, but he had gone into the locker room before halftime 13 other times, never came back.
Golly, man.
Like getting him on the floor and keeping him on the floor is one of the most difficult things. He's played 43 games right now, so and I think that's out of a possible 52, something like that. He's going to have a difficult time getting to the 65 game threshold.
Oh, for sure.
To be all league. And like, I think we kind of looked, he had like 9 games that he can miss. Maybe he's aided by All-Star week. But I do think not only does it mean that he's not going to play in the All-Star game this weekend, which opens a roster spot. But also, I think he's opening an All-NBA spot. The same way that Kawhi Leonard did, and Joel Embiid, and Luka Doncic, and it's going to be one of those seasons where there are more All NBA spots open than there were before.
Yeah, I just feel bad for him, man, and I don't feel anything toward Nico Harrison because he's a disaster.
Yeah,
but it's like Anthony Davis very clearly wanted to do like double birds to the Lakers. He's walking around going, I'm here, and then to immediately get hurt in your first game. Like that's tough. But I'm guessing we're going to see a not as good version of the Dallas Mavericks tonight without Anthony Davis. No Anthony Davis, no Derek Lively. A front court that once looked super formidable or potentially formidable is now very, very thin. We'll get to starters for tonight. Looks like Malik Monk, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray, and Domantas Sabonis for the Kings. For the Mavs, it'll be interesting. I've got Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, Max Christie, PJ Washington, and Daniel Gafford.
Okay. And PJ, of course, is questionable.
Correct. Which leads us to our injury report.
Yes.
We have Max Christie and PJ Washington are both questionable. Max Christie's got a shoulder. PJ Washington's got an ankle. Dante Exum also questionable. Anthony Davis, Derek Lively, Caleb Martin, and Dwight Powell all out for Dallas. You're facing a shorthanded Dallas team that is still dealing with the after effects of the Luka Doncic trade.
Yep.
Now they're dealing with the after effects of the guy that they traded Luka Doncic for is now out a month after playing one game. This is a you hear this in betting a lot, like spot. Like this is a tough spot for this team. Team A may be way better than Team B, but this is a tough spot for Team A. This is a tough spot for the Mavs.
Yeah, it's a tough spot for the Mavs, and like, look, the Mavs are 28 and 25. They're just 3 games ahead of the Kings on the in the stand. Well, they're a game and a half ahead of the Kings in the standings, but they've got 3 more wins than the Kings. This is a big game for Sacramento.
Huge.
You win this game, you go. You finish off the season series. You go up 2-0 with 1 game left. And again, you talked about it. The Kings have started to amass like a group of teams that they've already won season series against, and that's big. Or splits. That's big if you're a team in the middle, and that's where the Kings are right now. If you're going to be a team fighting for the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like any of those spots, you want to have as many tiebreakers as possible. And again, if you tie for the 6 with another team, but you have a in-season tiebreaker, you're in, they're out.
Yep.
And that's it.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah. So this is a big game for Sacramento, and to be honest with you, it doesn't matter who runs out there for the Mavs. You know, they've got talent. They still have Klay Thompson. They still have Kyrie Irving. They still have a bunch of guys who can put the ball in the basket, but they're wounded, and you have to take full advantage of that.
Yeah, you can't throw your jerseys on the court and win, but if you go play a good game, you're going to win this one. Yeah. And the other thing it does is all the things you just mentioned, it also kills some momentum for Dallas, who's beat Boston and Houston in back-to-back games. You can go get a win here. All of a sudden they can sit around with a loss for a while. They know Anthony Davis is going to be out. They know they're banged up. They know they don't no longer have Luka. That could start a spiral. But if they win tonight, now all of a sudden they've got momentum on their side. They've won 3 in a row. They beat the Celtics and the Rockets, and then they beat the Kings, who are chasing them in the standings. And oh my God, look at the Mavs. You got to go win this one tonight.
Yeah, if you're the Kings, this is a huge game, and again, the Kings have already gifted the NBA and the Western Conference like a bunch of wins early in the season. They've, they just like said, "Oh, we're going to lose against bad team XYZ." This is a moment where you have to start building something for the second half of the season. Again, the All-Star break is just around the corner, but the Kings can't let off the gas. They need to fly into the All-Star break. They don't need to back into the All-Star break. It's not just this game. You've got a Dallas team, then you fly down to New Orleans and you have back-to-back games. This is that weird stretch where you play the Pelicans 3 games in 4 nights. The Pelicans aren't a good team. You just came back from a 20-point deficit and beat them. You don't need to build 20-point deficits to beat them, but at the same time, this is a moment where you got 3 games here stacked up right before the All-Star game against a wounded team and 2 bad team and a bad team twice. And if you can't take full advantage of this and build something, going into the break, then you're not going to have a good second half either.
Let's get to our matchup of the game. I've got 2 of them.
Okay.
The first one is I'm interested to see how the Kings match this up, but I'm guessing they'll go Keegan Murray on Kyrie Irving to start.
Probably.
Like I'd think so, because Klay Thompson's not a player at this point. I know he's 6'7", but he's not a player at this point who's putting the ball on the deck and creating off the bounce.
No, I'm okay with Zach LaVine chasing him.
Yeah.
And Malik Monk for that matter.
Yeah, mate. Gosh,
it's going to be interesting. Like if Max Christie plays, what does that mean? And I think we are going to see a lot of
Max
Keon
Christie's
Ellis.
been good, by the way.
Yeah.
17.7 points, 5.7 boards, 3 assists per game since joining the Mavs.
Okay.
It's been really good.
No, I mean, he's getting a golden opportunity to kind of stretch his legs and be the player that you'd hope that he might develop into. But, again, he's shooting the lights out, man. Since joining them, 66.7% from 3 on 4 attempts per game.
Yeah. He's been really good. That's the other one, though. Keon against Max Christie.
Okay.
Because I think Keon has the requisite size to be impactful. And for me, with the Kings tonight, and we'll get into keys to victory in a bit, but for me with the Kings tonight, a lot of it comes down to, can you just don't let somebody go for 40.
Okay.
And that's where, and not that Max Christie's going to score 40, but that's what a lot of the Keegan versus Kyrie specifically, that's what that one comes down to for me, is like, just throw Keegan on Kyrie, make sure he's not cooking, and it makes them a lot less effective.
Yeah, I would say too, this is a game where, a little bit like the Pelicans game, where you did allow CJ to go for 31, you did allow Zion to go for 40, and then you allowed Trey Murphy to go for 20. You allowed all that to happen, and you still won. I mean, 3 players scored 91 points against you. I think it's a little bit like Dallas. Dallas, after you get past, really Kyrie, it's like, okay, well, who else is going to bust you up? What you can't have is a bunch of players go for 15. You got to start limiting who's out there, who's gonna hurt you. Again, if Klay goes for 20 and Kyrie goes for 30, you can still win this game by 15. You just need to make sure that you're not letting other faucets drip. And that's something that the Kings have done a little bit better job of lately. But it's like when you look at the way that the Pelicans played, they just couldn't get any momentum with anyone else.
Yep. All right, he's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. Can the Kings make it 2 wins in a row tonight? We'll get into keys to victory coming up in a bit here on ESPN 1320. It is Sacramento sports leader.
Oh, Scout Recycler, you want Keon to start for Monk, man. In all honesty, like, Monk is your only point guard. Stephen Brown, the Kings aren't stopping anybody. Well, they're going to have to. Oh, the code word is working now. Thank you, Soren Smith.
Oh, yeah.
The code word is depth. Go to ESPN1320.com right now. Click on the Jiffy Lube contest page and enter the code word depth. DEPTH, depth. I kind of feel like, tall Chinese guy. I'll answer this right now. Daishan Nix. He played for the G League Ignite, and nothing but good things from our friend Pete Youngman. He's a good kid. I think he grew up. He was born in Alaska, and then of course the Ignite. He skipped the college world and went straight to college. I went straight to the G League Ignite. He's a big dude. I don't like. You don't see point guards built like him ever. He's
Darren Williams.
He's listed at 6'5", 235. No, more like Royce White. That's what he's built like. I don't know if you guys remember crazy Royce White, but that's what he's built like. Yeah. I'd even like, he almost looks Samoan. I don't know what nationality he is. I haven't looked it up. But he is a big dude, and he knows how to play the point. He's not a great shooter, and I think that's what's limited him at the NBA level and why he hasn't really got an opportunity. Yes, Royce White was afraid to fly. Yes, and now he ran for Senate in Minnesota. He's very different. I don't know if he's built like he's not built like a tight end, Aldrin. He's built like a defensive tackle. That's what he's built like. Like if he were to play in the NFL, they would bulk him up and he would be a defensive tackle. Nice dude though. Like I met him in the locker room the other night and he was like, seemed very nice.
Here we go. Hour number 2. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're rocking with you until noon. Then we'll hand it off to D'Lo and Casey. We were talking about Anthony Davis a bit in the last segment. And he's, of course, out for a month with an adductor strain. That's a hip injury, from what I understand in a quick Google search.
Adductor is the tendon goes down the inner thigh. So it goes all the way up into the groin area. Right. But yeah, so it's like straight through here. Yeah. As somebody who has tight adductors and can't really do much.
Need the visual.
Yeah.
You can Google it. Yeah, so he's out for at least a month. Of course, that's meaningful here because it opens up an all-star roster spot. I would imagine for Domantas Sabonis. I would be stunned if it's anybody but Domantas Sabonis. And I saw people in the chat saying, hey, if he gets the all-star nod, should he decline it to rest? And let me tell you something. If he does that, he will never get my support for anything ever again.
Yeah.
We've done shows whining and complaining about Domantas Sabonis not making the all-star game. If he says thanks, no thanks, to hell with him. I've spent so much energy worrying about this and complaining and bitching about it. For him to go, for Adam Silver to be like, you know what, Domas, you were a snub. You're the first, you are in. And him going, pass. Ooh.
Plus, Domas has a house in Napa. Like he can just
It's a quick. It's not a quick drive. It's traffic sucks.
Well, it does. But he can just get right there. You're
right. Doesn't have to take a flight. Doesn't have to stay in a hotel.
Yeah, this isn't like he's in Minnesota and he has to fly out to San Francisco to get on it. Yeah, like this is, even if he's taking a weekend off and relaxing at home.
I'm sorry. I don't want to do a slap in the face selection.
No,
it's recognition that he should have been on the team and he got left off.
Yeah.
Slap in the face. A slap in the face selection would be Malik Monk getting in. And them going, we need a Kings representative. We're going to leave Domas out. Here you go, Malik. You go. That to me is a slap in the face to Domas.
What if, Kyle?
Oh, great. Here we go.
You know what I'm going to say.
You are just going to make me go ahead.
What if they give De'Aaron Fox an all-star bid over Domas right now? What if they call the San Antonio Spurs and De'Aaron Fox gets elevated to all-star? I'm just saying.
I'm not ruling that out. Just given because here's the path to that. The NBA looks at Victor Wembanyama as its next face of the league.
Of course.
They go, hey, we've got Wemby in this all-star game that features LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, the old guard of NBA superstar. We need to get Wemby and his new running mate into these festivities together. That's the path to that happening. And if it does, I'll boycott straight up.
Okay.
That'll be the thing that makes me go, this is dumb. This is all stupid. Because Domantas Sabonis should have been in the All-Star game. And now the league has an opportunity to correct that wrong, and I think they're going to. But if they do that and he declines it after all this complaining we've done about it, and he didn't even want to go,
he will accept. There's no way he would turn it down.
I would be floored.
He doesn't want to do any of the extras, like the I don't know, what is it, the
3-point shootout, skills competition.
Like he doesn't want to do any of that stuff again. Like I heard him say, like, no, I've already done the skills twice. He's like, it just adds too much to the weekend type stuff. But yeah, I mean, like, look, this would make him a 4-time All-Star and put him just on the pace. And the funny thing about All-Stars, like, right, when you look at somebody's basketball reference page and it says right now he's a 3-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA, and 2-time rebound champs, there's not an asterisk that says he was injury replacement.
Exactly.
So, like, he's going to get to a point where, again, you have too many All-Star nods to ignore for a Hall of Fame induction. And you hope that he gets to a point where he starts winning some playoff games. So then that way it makes it easier, the path easier for him. But that's what this should be about for him. And I don't know how many father sons are in the NBA Basketball Hall of Fame.
Not that many.
Not that many, if any at all. I'm missing somebody, but I don't know.
There's probably a super obvious one we're just not thinking of, but I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Yeah, I can't either. Because I mean, Michael Thompson isn't in the Hall of Fame, so like if Clay were to get
Del Curry's not.
Yeah, like, so I'm not sure.
I don't think Tim Hardaway Jr. is going to make it.
No, he's not going to make it. I don't believe so. Anyway, yeah. Intriguing.
916-909-1320 is the Elk Grove Kia talk line. 916-909-1320. Don, you're on the Insiders. What's up?
Hey, what's up with it, y'all, man? This is E-Biz. I've never talked to you guys before. How you guys doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for calling. Appreciate it, man.
For sure. I got a question for Mr. Ham. How'd you like the halftime show?
I don't, like, I watched it. It wasn't my style of music, and that's okay. Like, it's not always gonna be something I would listen to. I don't know a lot of Kendrick Lamar's music.
Sure.
And so I think that there were a lot of people that are probably in my boat that were like, okay, this is the first time a rapper has been the headliner, right? And I think there are ways to do that where it brings in everybody into the conversation. But for me, it was like, it was okay. I mean, it was I'm sure for people who are Kendrick Lamar fans, they're like, "Oh, this is amazing."
I thought it was great.
Yeah,
I had such a great time with it.
yeah. But what did your parents think?
Honestly, no idea. We didn't talk about it.
Okay, I didn't know if you were there with your parents.
Yeah, well, yeah, they were there, but I was with a bunch of my friends who we were all super into it. So
Yeah.
we were all talking amongst ourselves. I'm guessing they were, I don't know.
They're fine with it.
But
yeah.
the point is like you said, there's a way to do it to bring everybody in. Like that wasn't the point though.
No, I get that.
Like that wasn't that was in fact it was very much the opposite. Like the whole thing was he did like everything off his most recent album.
Mhm.
Almost everything. Instead of, hey, here's swimming pools, here's here's all of these massive hits that he's had, which is typically what you do at the Super Bowl. Say, hey, here's all my hits. This is for you. Enjoy it. No, this is for my fans. This is for the Black community. This is what this is for. It's not going to be for everybody. And that was the entire point. Like that was what Samuel L. Jackson's character was saying out loud.
Yeah.
This is not for the mainstream. This is not going to be for the mass audience that you're trying to play to. And I thought it was great. I very, very much enjoyed it. And I get that Kendrick's music is not for everybody the same way Chappell Roan's music isn't for everybody. Taylor Swift's music isn't for everybody. Like that's just it. I didn't the take of, oh, the show sucked. Like, well, it didn't.
I didn't think
didn't
it
like
sucked.
Right.
I just think it wasn't like it was like, I don't know, very similar to a 24-0 halftime lead. It was like, okay, like we're all here to watch it. And like at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, did I learn anything? Not so much.
It did not appeal to you the same way when Bruce Springsteen performed, did not appeal to me.
Of course.
Couldn't give a rip about Bruce Springsteen, man.
Yep.
He ran around on stage. I get he's 70 years old or whatever. And oh my God, look at him run. But it just, that's not for me.
No, I get that. I get that. But like there are acts that, like Rihanna was incredible.
She was great.
Yeah. And there are other acts that like find ways to connect to more than just a very specific audience. And that's fine. Like that's what they wanted to do in this situation. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
But it's like, there are commercials that miss completely. They're, again, it's part of a viewing experience. And I think like so many people watch the Super Bowl. And that's where it's like, you can do that where it's like, it's not for everybody. And I'm not saying that like Bruce Springsteen is for everybody. And I don't even typically like Bruce Springsteen, just so you know.
You're not a fan of the boss.
No, but like, the Prince or, whether it's Timberlake and Janet Jackson, like there's a way to appeal to a broader audience where you're actually expanding who's listening to you and making people want to like, go, okay, I didn't know him before and now I'm going to go listen to more.
Sure.
There might've been a way to connect with more people.
Sure. There's a lot of background stuff too with the beef with Drake, and if you don't have the context, like if that's not a thing you followed, then some of the stuff in there isn't going to hit the same.
No, totally.
Got per source, my mom liked it.
Oh, good. Ask what your dad thinks.
Yeah, no, I was I had a great time with that. With the halftime show, he did this the song Peekaboo. It's one of the songs he did, and AZ Chike is the feature on it, and there's a video of AZ Chike and his family watching the Super Bowl halftime show and freaking out when he started to play Peekaboo, but then he raps his verse and everybody freaks out. It was a great time. It was my favorite thing I saw all night.
Oh, that's cool.
My favorite post-game video that I saw all night.
I'm glad people enjoyed it. Like, again, if there was a country artist, I wouldn't want to listen, intently to that either.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Anyways. That's the halftime show. That's our takes. That's our thoughts. We're talking about Domas. Where are we going to go? What was I doing? Oh, here we go. Okay. NFL stuff. Super Bowl. A thing that happened Sunday morning.
Okay.
I'm like, you know what? I don't have anything to do till the Super Bowl today. I got a little writing to do. We had some friends come over Saturday night to hang out. We did a whole little pre-Super Bowl thing. They crashed at our house. We're gonna get up, have a little breakfast, go to my folks' house, and watch a football game. We're over and I grab my phone, and the first thing I see is that Deebo Samuel has requested a trade. Get out of bed, go downstairs, get my computer out. I'm doing the writing.
I'm sure that made people in the NFL office happy. Come on, bro. It's not your day. Come on.
Yeah. News breaking 5 hours before the Super Bowl starts. I think it's the right move. Deebo's entering the last year of his contract.
Mm-hmm.
The 49ers are clearly not going to give him more money, or at least not the money he wants. He's coming off the worst year of his career from a production standpoint, from an advanced stat standpoint, just, tackle breaking and yards after catch. And that's just, you can look up the numbers, you can watch him. You could see it wasn't the same Deebo. And the Niners are probably looking at it going, this dude's game isn't going to age well. We're not going to pay him. So Deebo's going, I don't want to go into the last year of my contract without any future guarantees. So I would like to be traded to a team that will give me that new deal. So, okay, this makes sense. It's kind of the life cycle of an NFL player. Forgetting the Deebo aspect of it for a moment, we can save the eulogizing Deebo's 49ers tenure for when he's actually traded, because there's a chance he's not. If he is, though, wide receiver is suddenly this huge need for the 49ers.
Oh, yeah.
It was already a sneaky, under the radar, because it was Deebo looked washed last year. Brandon Ayuk's coming off a major knee injury. You have no idea what he's going to look like. Juwan Jennings is good, but Ricky Pearsall, huge question mark. Even before he got shot, he had hamstring injuries. He had a shoulder injury in camp. He flashed, but nothing that makes you go, yeah, hey, that's a future All-Pro.
Yeah.
And we saw Dante Pettis have a great rookie year, and he fell off immediately. And then Jacob Cowing, the other rookie, couldn't get on the field. So all of a sudden, if you're trading Deebo, your receiving core is Juwan Jennings, who was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Ayuk, who's coming off major knee injury, and 2 second-year guys who you have no idea what they are in the NFL.
It's a little scary, and they're going to have to address it yet again, which is what they did with their first-round pick last season. And I don't know how they address it, especially, with cap constraints and everything else. And even if you trade Deebo, isn't there like a gigantic, $30 million?
Yeah, they'd have to eat a lot of money to do it.
Tax hit.
Yeah.
So it's tough, but at the end of the day, that's what your job is, to figure out guys that can go out there and support Brock Purdy in the right way. And I don't know if you're going to have to spend second, third round picks. That's the worst part, is that this team just misses in the middle rounds, specifically with wide receivers and running backs all the time. And as opposed to building depth on the offensive line or the defensive line with those picks, they typically take swings and miss. And then you're stuck in a situation where not only do you not have these guys, but you're kind of grasping at straws. And Juwan Jennings, free agent after the season, he's probably going to want to get paid. He might even say, hey, I don't want to play for this contract this year. You might want to bump me up since he almost finished with 1,000 yards. But either way, this is what team building is about, and why the 49ers have put a lot of money into some positions that might come back to haunt them.
Yeah, man, the post Deebo era is going to be interesting, because it was the one thing that I said going into the offseason. I was like, they got to figure out how to have an offense that doesn't revolve around Deebo Samuel. And it's just really clear. The jet motions don't affect defenses the way they used to. They don't move and manipulate defenders the way they used to. He's not breaking tackles and creating yards after the catch the way he used to. They got to do something different here, man, because leaning on Deebo is not it.
No.
So if they're losing Deebo completely, it rids Kyle Shanahan of the notion that, hey, this is still a player who can be effective in X, Y, and Z ways, when it's very clear he cannot. So, even if he doesn't get traded, I'd be pretty surprised if he's not cut. They can spread out his dead cap if they designate him as a post June 1 release. So my guess is that's where this ends up, because I don't know that a team's going to want to give up draft capital and then pay Deebo Samuel after the year he just had.
Yeah,
but we'll see. Definitely another sign of the changing era in San Francisco. All right, we'll dive back into the Kings. We'll have some keys to victory for tonight in Dallas. And then Keegan Murray starting to figure it out a little bit. We'll talk about that as well coming up. He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube here on ESPN 1320. It is Sacramento Sports Today.
What's going on, everybody?
Hey, how are ya?
Cooper Cup would be interesting.
Would he?
I don't know.
Would Cooper Cup be interesting?
It's possible. I don't know. Maybe not
Cooper
for this
Cup
team.
has played like 27 games the last 3 years. Actually, it's
Yeah.
33. He's averaged 11 games per
Yeah.
season the last 3 years. I think I would if they could acquire Cooper Cup without giving up a draft pick for him, I would do that.
Let's see.
That was fun.
Regular Kings fans, we're not doing any more giveaways, but if you need a coupon code, the coupon code is radio224. That will save you $10 on any purchase $100 more.
I doubt it. We'll probably never. I think he could come back and be like, okay, but I don't think we'll ever see all pro caliber Ayuk again.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's pretty young to say that, though. I don't know. We'll see. Oldie, you're back.
Let's go. Let's go.
They did not. I mean, one of them paid out a little bit, but not much.
Yeah, I got 2 out of 3 on both. The Chiefs offense I expected a pretty defensive game, but the Chiefs offense doing nothing really killed me.
Mm-hmm. I think it killed a ton of people. I think the daily fantasy sports people made a ton of money.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, a ton.
They made quite a bit off your boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was ACL and MCL, I think. And then they said like additional damage.
To Ayuk?
Hey, shout out, Joey. Appreciate you listening on the East Coast. Be interesting. Oh, hey, we're back. James Ham there. I'm Kyle Madsen. Kings taking on the Dallas Mavericks tonight. Down in Dallas, the Kings have won 1, and they've been losing 2 after winning 1. They got to reverse that trend tonight. You were talking about it earlier. This is a huge game, man. Win that season series against the Mavs. You gain a full game on them in the standings.
Mm-hmm.
And for Sacramento right now, I know we want to talk playoffs and we want to talk, can they win in the first round? What's the ceiling? It starts with just like chipping away and starting to climb up in the play-in race. And then you can start thinking about, okay, what do you got to do to get into the playoffs, into the top 6? And chipping away starts tonight. You have to get this game in Dallas.
Yeah, I totally think this is one of those games that just stands out, going into the All-Star break here coming up. This is a team that's totally beat up. They just had a shell shock week where their best player was traded, just like the Kings. But the player that replaced that best player just went down with injury and isn't going to play for a month. Like, this is a situation where, again, you have to take care of business against teams that are either struggling or lost in the midst of something. And teams have done that with the Kings.
No doubt.
They've gotten right against the Kings because the Kings have had moments during this season where they're losing 5 or 6 in a row, or where they're making trades that alter the face of the franchise. And so this is one of those moments where you got to step up and no excuses. Big game.
Not to mention, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves here
Mhm.
because they could very easily go into Dallas and lose tonight. But you have Dallas, then you get 2 against New Orleans. Not a great team. That's 2 winnable games. Then you get the All-Star break. Then you get Golden State, very mid. Charlotte, one of the worst teams in the sport. And then Utah, one of the worst teams in the sport. You have a chance here to not only gain that game on Dallas, but start stacking. What, you take care of business there, you got 6-7 wins in a row.
Yeah.
And that's that kind of stretch is what launches you up the standings.
Yep.
Not, hey, we won 3 out of 5. Okay, that's nice. But can you win 6, 7, 8 in a row? 12 out of 15.
Separate yourself from the bottom
Mhm.
teams. Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's where the Kings have to figure out a way to do it. They had that 6-game losing streak, and that put them in a giant hole.
Yep.
You climbed out of that hole, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But you need that next push to get you back into the 5, 6, 7 conversation, not the 7, 8, 9, 10 conversation. And they're just like hanging on the edge there. But there are a lot of teams that are in the same exact situation they're in.
Let's get to keys to victory tonight.
Okay.
How do the Sacramento Kings knock off the Dallas Mavericks? 3 keys from each of us. James Ham, what is your first key?
You have to take advantage of a wounded team against no AD, Daniel Gafford's there, no Derek Lively.
Mm-hmm.
This is a team that is beat up, and you got to figure out ways to take your shots against teams like this that are above you in the standings, but just above you in the standings. You can gain a full game on them with a win tonight. And if you can't take care of business against teams like this, then you're not going anywhere.
That's it
on the season.
And you said the key thing there is this team is beat up, but they're also above you in the standings.
Yeah.
That has to be the view. This can't be, oh, we're getting a wounded version of the Mavs. Great. Cool. A night off. Like, you don't get to do that, man. You're 26-26. You're 500 through 52 games. You don't get to overlook anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I'm right there with you, man. You've got to take advantage of this one. Number 1 for me, recognize the hot guy.
Oh.
And whoever it is, make sure because Klay Thompson, everybody here in Sacramento knows what Klay Thompson's capable of. Kyrie Irving, everybody knows what Kyrie Irving's capable of. Maybe it's PJ Washington. Maybe it's Max Christie. If somebody is hot from 3, if they're getting rolling, putting the ball in the hoop, getting to the free throw line, you have to adjust your defensive focus and making sure you're shutting that faucet off. You have the personnel with Keegan Murray, with Keon Ellis, maybe a little Jake LaRavia. You have the personnel to and the size to bother players like that. You can't let them get rolling. So whoever it is, recognize it and shut that faucet off.
Yeah, I would say on both ends of the court too. Like, figure out who's hot for you.
Yep.
And start feeding somebody, because it really does feel like the Kings have not found that momentum where they see somebody's cooking. Again, Keegan Murray. Like, Keegan Murray keeps cooking and you keep going away from him. Like,
baffling.
Ride the hot hand.
Yep.
So figure out who's hot on their team and shut it down, but on your team, and start feeding it.
Number 2.
Continue to build chemistry. The addition of Valanciunas and LaRavia feel like they have the start of the second unit. It feels better, but I need to see a little bit more from Zach LaVine, not just as a scorer, but finding a way to score effectively and efficiently using Domantas Sabonis as a DHO player, or using the players that are in place to get better. And that's when basketball, it becomes easier and easier when you start playing for each other within a system,
Mhm.
and coaches are putting you in positions to be successful, and you're taking advantage of those situations. So far, I think the chemistry is a little off, but it's building, and I think that's what the next couple of games should be about. It should be about getting this team on the court as much as possible together, the players that you're going to be trusting the whole second half of the season, and really starting to get that chemistry building. So when you do hit the ground after the All-Star break, you're running and you're not, still walking fast or jogging.
Having great one-on-one scorers is a big deal. You need to have that to be sure. That can't be your only pitch on offense.
No.
I'm right there with you. Number 2 for me, get in the mid-range, man. The Mavericks are good at protecting the rim, pretty good at defending the three-point line. Great. Let Malik Monk, let Zach LaVine, let DeMar DeRozan, Domantas Sabonis, just go cook in the mid-range then. If they're going to give you that shot, if Daniel Gafford's going to stand under the basket, effective shot blocker and shot alterer, and they're going to run you off the three-point line, great. Stop and pop and take an open 15-footer.
Yeah.
I'll take that all night.
I'm here for that.
Number 3.
Don't coast in the All-Star break. This is an opportunity, man.
Yep.
These are not good teams right now. Dallas is not a good team. They just traded Luka. They have no AD. New Orleans is not a good team. They just traded Brandon Ingram, and Zion might play both games. He might not, because that's who Zion is.
We have
you have
wild card.
no idea when he's going to play and when he's not.
Sure.
But this is a moment where you got teams that aren't good, at least right now with Dallas, and not good in general with the Pelicans. You have got to find a way to get 3 games over 500 going into the break, because you have an opportunity coming out of the break to stack another 3 or 4 wins. And next thing you know, you're right there in the hunt. And that's where this team needs to be looking. And hopefully they're hyper-focused on that.
And you talk about stacking those wins. That then gives you a little bit of cushion, because you play the Rockets, you play the Nuggets, you get the Spurs, you got the Clippers, and then you got the Knicks. Like that gives you a little bit of cushion where if you slip up in one of those games, it doesn't feel like the end of the world.
Yep.
Number 3 for me, go at Daniel Gafford a little bit. Don't be afraid to, specifically Domantas Sabonis. Don't be afraid to get in to that's with shot blockers. You got to get into their body, right? He is second on their team in fouls per game. You get him in foul trouble. They don't have a lot of depth.
Nope.
At center with Derek Lively out and with Anthony Davis out, it is the Daniel Gafford show. And if you can get him in a little bit of foul trouble, you put their rotations in a bad spot. So I would like to see them go at Daniel Gafford a little bit. And maybe the refs it's a physical game, and you know what? He's getting away with murder underneath the basket, and okay. Switch it up. But early on, especially Domas, get it on the block, just get into his chest and go.
Do you know who leads the league in personal fouls this season?
I don't.
Domantas Sabonis, 176 personal fouls.
I probably should have known that. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
That's our keys to victory. If the Kings do all those things, they will go into Dallas, and they will get a win they desperately need for all the reasons that we've talked about, man. You just, I'm not going to say it feels like the final, what are they at? 52 games. So the final 30 games rest on tonight. But because I've felt that way so many times this year, this game has outsized importance for me. Really, the next 3.
Yeah, I mean, you put yourself in a situation where every game feels like it matters more.
Yeah.
You know, especially when you look at some of the games that are coming up and say, okay, you're going to lose. Chances are you're going to lose to a Boston. You're going to lose to the Knicks. You're going to lose specific games coming up on the schedule. You don't have a lot of games left that are just wins that are just sitting there for you.
Yeah.
And you got to take advantage when they are there.
Yeah, and separate yourselves from the Suns, who are not going to get much better. Separate yourself from Golden State, who isn't probably going to get much better. Get away from San Antonio, who's still 22-28.
Yeah, they're all right there.
Yeah.
Anyways,
right. That's James. I'm Kyle. We'll break down all the Kings Mavs action tomorrow on the Insiders. That starts at 10 a.m. right here on ESPN 1320, and we are Sacramento Sports Leader. All right. Speaking of our sponsor, Jiffy Lube.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us real quick about Jiffy Lube before we talk about Keegan Murray?
Of course. Great. Jiffy Lube wants to show some serious customer love this month with their February oil change deals you can find online. Simply visit jiffylube.com and find a service center near you to see these sweetheart deals on oil changes, wiper blades, and during the month of February, all kinds of other things. So drive into savings at jiffylube.com today and save in the month of February.
Excellent.
There it is.
jiffylube.com.
Go there.
Our keywords is working now, by the way. At
Yep.
ESPN1320.com, hit the Jiffy Lube contest page. Keyword is depth, because the Kings' depth really shined through in the win on Saturday night over New Orleans. Depth, you enter that code word, you'll be entered to win a $50 Jiffy Lube gift certificate and an exclusive sick-ass Insiders hoodie like the one James is wearing right now. You can check that out at youtube.com/ESPN1320. That hoodie and the gift certificate, of course, brought to you by our friends at Jiffy Lube. All right, I have a couple personnel things for the Kings.
Yep.
One, Keegan Murray's starting to figure it out a little bit.
Man, I hope so. Like, it's crazy. You brought up that stat the other day that he hasn't scored 20 points since like
November 24th.
before Thanksgiving. Before Thanksgiving.
That's crazy.
That is absolutely wild. He's got to 19 twice in the last week.
Mm-hmm.
You feel like he's starting to build. I do think that his teammates need to embrace that and feed the kid and get him over the hump. And that, to me, would be something that, like, you just have to. He's such a powerful weapon if used correctly,
Mm-hmm.
and they can't figure out how to use him correctly. And I don't get it. But I also know that, like, when you have three guys in Monk and DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine that love to have the ball in their hands and, like, directing traffic and being the guy,
Mm-hmm.
you have to look for easy ways to score. And Keegan is open so often, and he is the easy way to score, and you need to start looking for him.
Yep.
So
15 shots the other night for Keegan. That was his most in a game since January 29th. Hang on. I need to make sure I have this right. There's no way this is right. This is right. 15 is the second most shots he's taken all year.
oh no.
He's had 2 games with 17 field goal attempts. That was in October 24th and November 6th. His games with 15 were November 15th, November 25th, and then January 29th and February 8th. I would love to see whatever they need to do, whatever they need to say to get him to be that aggressive on a nightly basis where he is taking 15 shots. Take a couple of shots away from DeMar DeRozan. Take a couple of shots away from Keon Ellis. Take a couple shots away from Zach LaVine. I don't care. If Keegan Murray is putting up 15 shots, he had 19 points and 8 boards the other night, and a night where he went 2 for 8 from 3. He goes 3 for 8. All of a sudden, he has 22.
Mm-hmm.
22 and 8, man. That's a hell of a night. It's like he's there. It's there. We all know it. We all see it. The only problem is A, whether it's his teammates not getting him the ball, or B, his his demeanor and his on-court attitude being, okay, well, I'm around all these great players. I need to make sure that they're getting their touches and they're eating. Like, no, you need to make sure you're eating, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, I always go back to that story that Greg Popovich had. Talks about Kawhi, and he said, you know, he had to pull Kawhi aside and say, hey, look, man, you have got to shoot more. And it's not because we're trying to get you more points, and it's not because we're trying to, like, inflate your worth or make you feel good about yourself or anything else. It's very specific. We're trying to get you shots because we have a better shot of winning the game if you take those shots.
Yes, the Kings are better when Keegan Murray is more aggressive.
Yes. And that's it. Like, when he is out there shooting and taking more shots and being that guy,
mm-hmm.
It just helps with everything. It helps the floor spacing. I mean, his rebounding has been off the charts. You know,
mm-hmm.
This season he's been really good, but then there are games where offensively he's just flying in and grabbing rebounds that you just don't expect.
Nope.
I need more of it. I need more of all of it, because what you can't do is show us how good you can be and then not give us that on a more regular basis, because
mm-hmm.
that's just disappointing. And that's a, you know, like, I hope he figures that out, that everybody wants to see him succeed,
mm-hmm.
and his teammates need to do a better job of making sure they don't just tell him that, but they actually do the things necessary to make him a better player.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like they do that all the time. And so at some point, I think that there is going to be, like, a moment where Keegan breaks out, But I don't know how to have that happen when you're still waiting for Zach LaVine to break out. You're still, you're still waiting for all these things to happen, this team to look right. So I'm hopeful.
That's I think my greater concern with all this is 15 shots the other night is great. And when Keegan, especially like when he puts the ball on the deck and gets going downhill with some force, it's like, oh man.
Mm-hmm.
But he just doesn't do it consistently enough. And I think I don't necessarily disagree that it's on his teammates to get him involved, but it's also on him a little bit.
Oh, I totally agree. He needs to be more vocal.
Yeah. And anyways, just every time you get it, put it up, man. You're not going to be involved in the offense. Whenever you get the ball, you got to take your shots.
I love how he attacks the rim and dunks on people now.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, if he's going to be that person, you got to look at what you have.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the Kings are doing. Why the teammates aren't feeding him? Why the coaches aren't saying, hey, we do have to run sets for him.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to run sets for DeMar DeRozan. He'll run sets for himself.
Right.
Like Keegan Murray, I need you to run sets for him. I need you to get him involved early and often.
Yep.
I mean, I don't even remember the last time I saw him really shoot at the top of the key. And that early in his career, that's what he did all the time.
Yep.
Like now it's just sit in the corner and do your thing. And then every once in a while dunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really weird.
It's another benefit of changing the starting lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Running the ball through Domas. I'm just a guy on the radio, though.
Just putting it out there.
Hey, Devin Carter's out tonight on a G League assignment. Is that where he should stay?
I believe that's where he should stay throughout most of the G League season.
Yeah, if you don't have plans to play him.
Yeah, he needs to be out there for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and get some positive momentum, figuring out how to play within the offense.
Mm-hmm.
Just get loose and get on the court, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that he missed all the training camp and all the summer buildup and all that stuff, summer league. Like he's just so far behind the 8-ball. And to be honest, like when you put him on the court, he hurts the team. And that's I'm not blaming him. I'm blaming the situation. But he hurts the team, and I'm not putting him on the court if I'm the Kings right now until. And I don't care if he goes for 35 at the G League level. I don't care. Go show me you can go for 35 for 2 weeks straight.
Yeah,
that's fine. But also make sure your team's winning all those games.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I'm kind of like, I want to see him improve, but I don't need to see him in Sacramento. I don't need to see him playing for the parent club anytime soon.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, and more at the G League level. What you're talking about is if Devin Carter is going to come up and have an impact for the Kings this year, where they can feel comfortable in a playoff series, going, hey, you know what, Malik's in foul trouble. We really need a second point guard. The way he can help himself in the G League is what you said at the top there. Like just run the offense.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just orchestrate and initiate the offense consistently?
Yeah.
Can you just do that? Don't even care about the scoring. Can you just make sure everybody's in the right spot and you're doing the right stuff and you're doing the right thing with the basketball? And if you can, over the rest of the G League season and you're on the roster in a playoff series, you feel better about it. But right now, whatever he's doing, it feels like it's just survive. For however many minutes you're on the court in the NBA, just survive.
Yeah.
And that's not going to benefit him. It doesn't benefit the Kings.
Well, that, and you watch Jake LaRavia go out there in his first opportunity with the Kings and was able to do so much more than just survive, right? You have to have positives. You have to bring, and it doesn't have to be scoring. You have to bring positives to the game. And it can't just be rebounding. Like you have to do everything that it takes to be a functional NBA player, and not every time you go in the game for 4 minutes, you run a -8 and the team is in a hole because that they may or may not be able to get out of because you're not ready to be a functional member of the team at this point.
All right. Mad props. The final one of the year, or of the NFL season, I guess. Didn't go great for your boy. We'll play Mad Props with Jesse Tapia coming up in a bit on the handoff. We're the Insiders, sponsored by Jiffy Lube. This is ESPN 1320 with Sacramento Sports.
Scooter. No. I think he will get a full contract, but I think that they are waiting. The Kings have 2 full roster spots available right now, and at the end of Daishen Nick's 10-day contract, they'll have 3 roster spots. I actually believe they had to sign a player because you're not allowed. I don't think you're allowed to just have 12 roster spots. You have to have 13 at a minimum. And what they did with a 10-day for Knicks is they at least bought themselves, through the All-Star break to make roster adjustments. And then they'll figure out what to do with all those roster spots. I would be surprised if Isaac Jones didn't get a full contract because they like him. And what you're doing there is you're rewarding a player. But also remember, the Kings are very close to the luxury tax, and you're not going to go over the luxury tax to sign either 10 days or these other contracts that are out there. Tom Too Witty, I have not been to Ham Station on Highway 88 in the mountains. We're not being hard on like Mark. We're being honest about the fact that, like, as of today, he is not helping the Kings. And that's okay. Like, there's a reason why he's not helping the Kings. He missed all of Summer League, all of the build up to Summer League, all of the training camp, all of everything, and then just got thrust into the rotation in January. That's not good for anybody. And like, for right now, he needs time to develop and time to figure out the speed of the NBA game. And the G League is probably the best place for him for at least a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm not saying cut the guy.
Yeah.
It's all the things that Mark said. I agree. He's a rookie who didn't have an offseason at all. So go get ostensibly an offseason in the G League.
Yeah.
Instead of riding the bench for the Kings, because it's clear he's not going to be in the rotation.
No, and I think the Kings are better off literally signing, if they can get a Reggie Jackson, they can get a Bones Highland, they can get somebody else that can help them right now. Like, look, this is about winning games.
What's up, Chatty House?
Totally.
If this was, the Kings 4 years ago,
Mark agrees with us. Salute, Mark.
You let him play.
I also saw Old E disagree with us on something, or disagree maybe with me on something. Can we block that guy? I'm joking. Don't block Old E.
It's going to take me 10 minutes to go look for him again. What's up, Russ?
Man, Russ Dog, I think this situation rushed Carter. Like, I know that sounds weird, but I just don't think that they had faith in Jordan McLaughlin to be their backup point guard. And Colby Jones, again, just never stepped up and was able to be a player. I don't know.
Aldrin, he didn't want to be in Miami from the moment he signed. He wanted to be in Philly from the jump, so I wasn't too torn up about it. What's up, Miss Mac? Drew Butler. Yeah, everyone told me the Celtics sky was falling. Chatty House still got jokes today, I see.
Huh? He did. I'm interested. It's not. I think this one's better. I told him, I was like, "Hey."
Oh, I saw it, but yeah.
Oh, did you hear it already?
He told me. I didn't hear it. But he told me.
I was like, I need you to just make it a different innuendo every time.
Yeah, just switch it up every time.
She's like, sorry, I missed it again.
What's up, Marcus?
30 seconds. What's up, Kyron? Good morning.
Lazy. Kyron.
I could definitely come up with a bunch of those, which would be hilarious.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Flags flying everywhere.
5 seconds. Here we go.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
James is there. I'm Kyle. Jesse Toppy is going to be here in a second for the handoff. We'll see how that goes.
Me right now.
All right. Here we go, Jesse.
There we go.
Let's see if this handoff intro goes better for you.
It's time now for the handoff. Taking the handoff from James and Kyle today, here's Jesse Tapia.
It's fine, I guess.
It's not Fridays, huh?
It's not nearly as fun.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Jesse Tapia is here, and he's here for Mad Props. This is gonna be our last one. We're gonna wipe the slate after this, and I gotta mess with the bit a little bit and see about how we want to do it moving forward. But our Super Bowl edition of Mad Props is here.
It's time for Mad Props.
Intros
2
everywhere
games, 2 props. Which number will he hire? That's for Kyle and James to
And
decide.
Jesse.
Here's Mad Props.
And we already said Jesse's here. So Mad Props, we had the Kings game on Saturday and the Super Bowl, of course. Our first 2 props, which number's higher? Zach LaVine points or Saquon Barkley carries?
This one scared me. I had to double check this one last night. Just because I saw Zach's number.
Yeah, Zach LaVine scored 22 points. But the Eagles spent the last 48 minutes of that game just salting the game away. So 25 carries for Saquon Barkley.
There we go.
22 points for Zach LaVine. Jesse gets the W. The only one to get the W on that one.
Yeah.
I saw Zach LaVine went for 22. I was like, I think we're good.
Yeah, I thought it was cooked after that.
I think we're all set. And then Cooper DeJean, it's a pick 6 to go up 17-0. I was like, uh-oh.
It's not even like Saquon was running the ball crazy, too. I think he had like 57 yards or something like that total.
Yeah,
Rushing.
just a lot of tough runs, a lot of tough yards. That's what sucks for the Chiefs about their offense getting dog walked. Is like defensively, I thought they had a decent plan. They just couldn't.
The Eagles are just better. That's all it was.
Yeah, that was it. They just had better players for sure. And sometimes that's all it comes down to. Number 2, Keon Ellis made 3s or Juju Smith-Schuster catches. It was a close one.
Juju had 2 in the first quarter, like to start. I was like, oh, we're cooked.
Yes, because Keon Ellis, you guys went with Keon. He had 3 made 3s. I went Juju catches. He had 2 quick ones.
Yeah.
I was like, bang, bang. Here we go. It's the Juju game. Let's go. It was not the Juju game. He had no more catches. You guys win that one 3-2. I felt so good about that.
Juju had 2 catches. Like, oh, he's getting 100 yards today. He's going to be the one.
Right. It was going to be Chiefs win 24-20. Juju had 8 catches for 119 yards and 2 touchdowns. And oh my God, the Chiefs did it again. Nope.
I think I needed 17.5 yards from him, and he finished with 16.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah. I went receptions on underdog. Higher than 1.5 catches. So knocked it out early. Number 3, Domantas Sabonis points, rebounds, and assists, or Eagles Chiefs total. You guys went with the Eagles Chiefs total. I went with Domas points, rebounds, assists. He had 45. Yeah, good night.
Good day.
Didn't matter. 66 total points in the Super Bowl. I was thinking 44, like 24-20-ish was where I landed with my prediction. I felt really good when I saw Domas at 45, and then the wheels came off. It was a bad beat for me. Number 4, Jonas Valanciunas minutes or Patrick Mahomes completions. We all went Mahomes. 14 minutes for Jonas Valanciunas, 21 completions
Good job,
for
everyone.
Patrick Mahomes. It looked dicey there in the early going, but nevertheless, we persisted. Number 5, Malik Monk assists or Travis Kelce receptions. James Ham, you went Malik Monk assists, and you were the winner. 7 assists for Malik Monk, just 4 catches for Travis Kelce. I was shocked at just how absent he was.
Yeah, I feel like 0 catches, to be honest. That
Yeah.
dude was just invisible the whole game.
I think 3 of them were like in garbage time.
Yeah.
Well, that and the Mahomes, like the first one was behind him, right?
Mhm.
It was. I still think he probably could have got there, but the second one,
fastball that was like low and away.
well, that was the one that was on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what was that?
Not a good
Like,
throw.
just- no, not at all.
Did they both look to you, and maybe this is just kind of hindsight, but during the game, it felt to me like it wasn't that like, this sounds so cliche, but like that fire where they were
defeated.
like, hey, they looked at after the pick 6, Mahomes just looked like there was nobody home.
No, Travis Kelce had sad boy face every time they put the camera on him. So
Every single time. Yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't running into Andy Reid yelling at him. It was just like, well, we got nothing today.
maybe they just knew it was like, we just don't have it.
Yeah. Like we're cooked.
Tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really tough.
It's hard to win 2 Super Bowls in a row, much less a third one.
Yeah.
Which is probably not a thing. It's probably a thing I didn't factor enough into it. Last one, Keegan Murray offensive rebounds or Eagles rushing touchdowns. We all went Eagles rushing touchdowns. The Eagles scored 40 points and had 1 rushing touchdown. And it didn't come from Saquon Barkley. Their first touchdown of the game was the tush push. That was it for their rushing scores.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts is lighting them up, I guess.
Cooking, man.
Shout out
Good
Jalen
for
Hurts.
Jalen. James, you and Jesse both went 4-2. I went 1-5. James, you win this season of Mad Props with a 660 winning percentage.
That's right.
Pretty good right there.
Jesse, you were second at 569.
Over 500, we'll take that.
Yeah, and I was last place at 524.
Still over 500 though.
Still over 500.
A lot of for the bit picks in there too.
Yeah. So that's where we're at. Hopefully, by the time we roll this back, we run this back next football season, we will have a producer on this program who can
keep a weekly track.
Well, I mean, everybody's keeping. I'm keeping weekly track, but it'll afford us the opportunity to have a little more fun with this bit. Anyways,
okay.
Super Bowl went exactly how you thought it would.
Yeah, not as crazy. Like I didn't think it was gonna be like that much of a blowout, but I feel like picking the Chiefs going into, you're picking the narrative rather than kind of what's been happening this year.
Yep.
Like the Eagles were that good from how, like week 3, week 4, whatever you want to call it. I feel.
Yeah.
And like you tweeted it yesterday, like you win in the trenches, and they were by far the better team there.
Oh yeah. You have to load up in the trenches during this offseason and
I think I said it on Friday. I was like, the Eagles are just better.
Yeah.
They have a better team, but I'm picking the Chiefs.
You never bet against the Chiefs.
I'm going to feel more dumb picking against the Chiefs and having them win than picking against the Eagles and having them win.
It was the second quarter. The Chiefs were trying to drive or whatever. Mahomes just takes 2 sacks back to back. And it's like, yeah, they just don't have it today.
Well, for me, it was 24-0 at half. And I'm like, okay, hang on. Chiefs get the ball coming out of the half. They go down and score here. You get a stop and you score again. Now it's a manageable game. You get to that 10 points going into the fourth. Like, okay, here we go. And they came out, and the first drive of the second half looked exactly like the first half.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you have nothing. You have 0 things.
Devontae Smith scored that touchdown. I was like, all right, let's watch a movie or something else.
It's a wrap, dude.
Yeah, it was worthy or nothing.
Yep. And that's the other thing. I'm surprised there was nothing creative with a jet sweep to Xavier Worthy. Nothing using his speed except for the downfield shots when the game was out of hand.
No crafty little shovel passes. Nothing. It was like very, very vanilla.
Yeah.
And especially all the pass rush came, for the most part, came around the outside.
It's only 4 people rushing every time, too.
Yeah.
Like
literally 0 blitzes.
Yeah.
Man. Absolutely
wild.
And the other thing is, on the other side, the Eagles had an answer for every single Chiefs blitz.
Oh, yeah.
Every time. Jalen Hurts, the defense, the Eagles defense is a story yesterday. Their defensive line was incredible. Vic Fangio had a great plan. They dismantled the Chiefs offense in a way we have not ever seen, certainly in a Super Bowl. The way Jalen Hurts played yesterday, the Chiefs defensive plan was very clearly, we're going to make you beat us. And then he just did.
Well, and the one mistake he made, too, on the interception, I think early on, it was the first quarter, I think.
Yeah.
Like, he did the right thing, just throw it a little farther next time.
Yeah, just under
the guy in your face or whatever. Yeah, you get rid of it quick. Hopefully, A.J. Brown gets it. He just didn't throw it far enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I was, it wasn't even a, wow, did the Chiefs play bad? I was listening to a podcast on the way in, and they were like, is this a worse Chiefs loss or a better Eagles win? It's like, it's a better Eagles win.
Yeah, they were dominant.
The Chiefs didn't, it wasn't like, man, the Chiefs just didn't play a good game. Like, no, they just got worse.
They did. They were totally overmatched.
Yeah.
Totally overmatched.
Interested to see what their offseason looks like. Is Andy Reid washed?
Kyle is asking.
Travis Kelce, is he washed?
TC and Casey is trying to get Andy Reid fired right now.
Travis Kelce might retire, huh? There was a lot of smoke around that yesterday after the game.
There was.
Yeah, man.
Almost too much, I feel like.
Yeah, the way he looked during the game, and then that he didn't speak to at a press conference. He talked to reporters in the locker room.
Yeah.
He didn't have a press conference, leads me to believe that he's at least very seriously considering it.
I gotta say, I did get a kick out of the whole, I was gonna propose to Taylor today and we messed it up. Oh, that was hilarious.
No chance.
Yeah.
All right. D-Lo and KC coming up next. Jesse Tapia produces that show. Should be a ton of fun. Can't wait to hear what those guys have to say about the Kings win, about the Kings game tonight, and of course about Super Bowl 59. For James Ham and Jesse Toppy, I'm Kyle Madsen. We've been the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube. We're back tomorrow at 10 a.m. right here on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader. Until then, drink water, be nice to people. See ya.